Namaste. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about our future because I was talking with my galactic friends and I talked about humanity. What was so special about humanity? Because we know that the star beings from all over the galaxy are amassing, and they're amassing to be part of this evolution on Gaia and the evolution and progress and the next steps of humanity. And they are beaming forth their support, and they are holding back what they can offer until such time as humanity is not afraid. And there is this unwritten, or perhaps I should say well written, law that humanity must be uh, maintain their free will, and that there should be no interference, although there has been in the past. But what is it that humanity has that's special? And it is my knowing that it is two things, two aspects of humanity, which are extremely important for the whole galaxy. The first is love. Now, that's not to say that beings from other galaxies, other dimensions, do not know love and are not love. It's just that we get to know love in the densest reality. We get to know love in all the dimensions of human experience. And our path has been one where we lost that love, lost our memory and our connection to it, and had to make our way back to that knowing. And for me, love is the glue that holds everything together. And that's what the Galactics have come here for. They've come to know love in the same way as we know it. Because the truth in the galaxy can then be released with love as we know it is made available to all. So that's amazing. But the second aspect of being human that is mostly overlooked, and it's the one we each personally are having to deal with, is trust. You see, enlightenment comes, and self-love comes from knowing a total trust in yourself and your own process, your own perceptions, your own conceptions, your own creativeness, your own capacity to love. It comes from a trust in every aspect of your own journey. And what we are all learning to do is to listen to and trust our inner knowing, regardless of what appears to be happening outside ourselves, and to take that trust, because it's in that trust of ourselves and our connection that we learn to know how absolutely loving we are, and how absolutely connected we are to all things. And as a uh, as a race, humans then can take hold of and own the trust of every other human being. So that trust of others, trust of one's own species, comes about from the self-trust through walking the walk of listening and responding and discovering that there is this unspoken flow of life that is a hidden harmony in all things, and it is in ourselves. It is the nature of who we are. So our task, as it were, as individual human beings and as a unity consciousness, is to know our own lovingness and to have experienced total, complete, absolute trust in who we are and who everyone else, every other human is trustworthy. So now we can take this future and see that it's going to come full circle from the past. Because in the past, at the beginnings when humanity was newly here, that had descended from angelic and other forms onto the planet, onto Gaia, and how the initial civilizations of Lemuria, Mu, if you like, the people there were in total connection to Gaia, to the earth, to the elements. And they had this total trust because although they had gone into a veil, their connection was still there because they had this knowing and trusting of nature and of Gaia and all the elemental kingdoms. So they had the trust and the knowledge, and there was a symbiotic relationship that was totally open. And they lived in innocence, the innocence that's often depicted in the Garden of Eden. And the innocence is not the not knowing, it's the not knowing of anything contrived, and the not knowing or the need to know anything that was not of this relationship of one kingdom to another and each kingdom to each other. And so they lived in a kind of perfection and a simplicity and a joyfulness and play as a child. Not childish, but as children. And this is a state that a lot of people are talking about, that we move back to. We get back our sense of humour, our sense of play, our sense of simplicity and of being in the moment. That it's what comes with enlightenment. So we come full circle. But the reason why Lemuria fell was that there was another input on the planet. And we know that this is the Atlantean civilization. And the Atlantean civilization was an attempt, shall we say? It was a well-considered and careful uh, uh, attempt to bring beings from the stars who were part of a unsteady peace coming from the galactic wars, bringing them together in one species, as it were, through the mixture of DNAs, to experiment and see how the mixture of beings uh, from the galactic expanse could be blended in some way. And the Atlanteans came and developed their civilization, and it was superior in the sense of technology, as not just um, physical technology, but spiritual technology. And so, as we know, crystals became a major uh, focus for the civilization of Atlantis. But they had, because of their mixture and because of, as I referred to before, the lack of this knowledge of love and connection that was part of the um, human human nature and was reflected in the Lemurian people. They didn't quite understand. The whole experiment for Earth is that there is this blending together of the star people and the people of the land. They didn't quite understand. So when they came to coming together with the Lemurian people, there was often misunderstanding because the Atlanteans, with their superior technology, felt they had knowledge that the Lemurians didn't. And they didn't understand the connection because they didn't quite have the feeling of connection that the Lemurians did. On the other hand, the Lemurians, because they lived by trust, they knew nothing else but trust, trusted the Atlanteans, and therefore played lip service often to their own truth in favour of the truth of the Atlanteans. And one thing led to another, and as we all know, Mu fell, lost its purpose. The people lost their purpose and the strength of their sense. It was never entirely lost because there were always people in all tribes who had the understanding and the knowledge. But basically, they fell in understanding and in their own feeling of connection. And as we know, the uh, Lemuria disappeared, and later on, Atlantis disappeared through this spiritual arrogance that became so much a part of their um, sense of what was right. So now if we come very fast forward to recent times, we've seen that the tribes of the world, especially looking at the tribes of around the Pacific, in uh, Japan, in Alaska, in North America, Central America, South America, in Polynesia, uh, and Micronesia, right round the Pacific. We have the tribes who have this connection to the land and still had grand feeling for their task as earth keepers. And I'm taken to some of the history I know, which is the history of the Maori people, and coming to New Zealand, and to think that they travelled those fast sea miles in those long canoes. What faith and truth and trust they must have had to travel so far to the land of New Zealand, so far, far away. And it was so they travelled through knowledge, understanding, and dreams that were handed down from generation to generation for hundreds of thousands of years of this place that we now call New Zealand. And what dedication and vision it was to bring them uh, this far. And we have a repeat of the Lemurian Atlantean story in more recent times, where we have seen the European come in with their superior technology and take over the tribe, tribal societies and steal their land and therefore their connection. So, what's all this got to do with the originally what I'm saying, the love and the trust? And I think this is where what I'm sensing in the world now, that very quickly, uh, very rapidly, we're getting this return. We're getting this return. The tribal people beginning to have a more significant voice and an increased support from the non-tribal people for the for the land to be given back, to the land to be given back to the people, not just the tribal people, but to the people who live there. And the way we could to do this, we need to become much more aware of this trust which is basic to humanity, which is basic to us, and it's a central part of our own self-lovingness, the trust. We have to put aside for the tribal people their anger and their frustration and their hurt, and uh, for the uh, white Corsican European uh, Western people to put away their guilt and shame, because that has been a part, very much a part. We we have carried the guilt and shame of Atlantis nearly destroying the whole world, and the guilt and shame of of our stealing and subjugating and enslaving other peoples, that we need to put this aside and realize that we have a part to learn about this, about um, what a earth keeper is. That as human beings, we are earth keepers. And the beauty that we are moving into in this grand ascension, because what we are doing as we take back our love and our trust of ourselves and each other, putting aside all the stories of victimhood, they're over when we say so. When we take on these aspects which are truly what humans are all about, they were in the beginning and they are coming back to be what they are. In being the human beings that we are, we will offer something that has never been done before. The planet Gaia is ascending, and the whole of humanity is ascending with her. We are co-creating. We are co-creating a new, restored harmony that is no longer hidden and is made available for the galaxy to be able to understand and experience what we have been through and how our lovingness has brought it back. I love you. Thank you for listening. And so it is.